And if somebody could volunteer to type in the names of the mushrooms that we're talking about, it helps everyone to follow along. Oh, and one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. So everybody is muted. If you want to have something that you want to say or a question or whatever, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up, but then mute yourself when you're done. It just cuts down on the background noise. So anyway, let's jump right into it. It looks like Penny and Lila are first to go. So you want to take it away, Penny?
Sure. Okay. Okay. I have 3 on Mushroom Observer. My first one is Hygrophilopsis aurantiaca, I think. It was found on growing on a red pine stump, sort of sticking out between where the bark was coming off and the wood, and that's the gill surface. Oh, that's a picture of where it is sticking out. It was a little more orange than that. Oops. I'm not sure, I'm not that confident of my identification, but that's what I think it is. And so that's the same mushroom. And then there was just like a tiny little half of a mushroom that was even farther down between the bark and the wood.
Well,
so that's
I don't know
a waxy cap, I think.
I don't know about the little one, but this looks like Hygrophilopsis aurantiacum to me. And if you could zoom on this picture right here, the gills, I think we'll see a lot of forking, and the gills.
Yeah, you can see the forking. And I guess that's all I can zoom.
Okay,
so yeah, there's the forking.
Yeah, a lot of forking, thick gills. Typically, this mushroom is reported as terrestrial, but it often is found on rotting wood. So, and it's a late season mushroom also. So I agree. I didn't see this one on Mushroom Observer, or else I would have weighed in on the voting.
Oh, okay. Great. So then my next one is another waxy cap, but I really had a hard time. I think it's a waxy cap. I really had a hard time with the ID. So it was on the ground. It was a red pine area with some young beech, growing in the moss and maybe ground pine. It was like on a trail, and there were a lot of them on the trail. Slimy cap and stipe, no odor. I guess decurrent or subdecurrent, you might describe them, gills. At first, I did the key in mushroom expert for waxy caps, and I did it several times, and it kept coming out to different places. So the first one I came out was Hygrophilopsis chrysodon, and I thought I was supposed to look for yellow flakes at the edge of the mushroom cap, and I thought I had that on this little specimen here on the right. But then I looked at some pictures, some other pictures on Mushroom Observer, and it really didn't look anything like those. So you can't really see in this picture, but there's some yellow studs here, and they were described as flakes. So I guess that's not what it is.
The
And
flakes,
then
the yellow flakes should be on the upper part of the stipe for
yes, and
hydrophilus. Yep.
that's what I saw in the
They should be fairly evident. They should be pretty big
yes.
flakes. They should be easy to see. I don't think this is that. And the cap should have well, actually that last picture looks a little more like that species. Now sometimes this stuff
Which
gets
one?
washed off by rain, but
See, and then
usually
the
those
other
flakes
thing
are
was,
pretty evident.
okay, and then it's not Eberneus because that really shouldn't have this tan color on the cap. And if, 2 or 3 days later, drying out, the cap looks kind of dark, well, darker tan orangish. So I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't have a knife with me, so I pulled them out with my hand, and these probably had broken off stalks because you can see this one here, it has a longer stalk, and like this whole, almost half of it was underground. And then I went back, let me see if I can, how do I get to another screen here? Can you see that?
No, we're still seeing your,
No, I see the
Okay.
plate with like 6 mushrooms on it. I think that's new.
So this, can you see this?
yeah,
So this was another one where this was like a day later. I went back and got some more, and you can see there's a really long stipe, and this second, this bottom half was all underground, and I can't really see on that one. It almost had like a ring zone. You see right here on this one on the right.
Yeah,
the-
that could be
there's
from a gelatinous ring, like a slime veil. That could be.
I see. Well, the main thing about this mushroom is that it was so slimy. The cap and the stipe were so slimy that when you picked it up, it like felt like slimed right out of your hand. So I don't know if anyone can give me help with this because I don't know what it is.
I don't have a name offhand, but I'll look around.
Where would I look?
Well, do you have the wax cap book?
No. What?
Okay, it might be in there.
Is that the Bissett book?
That's a Bissett book. You also might want to look on the Quebec website, Champignon du Quebec, but you'll just have to go through all the hygrophorus because I'm pretty sure you're right. It's a hygrophorus. It's not a Cuphophilus because the gills, although they are decurrent, they're not traveling all the way down this stipe and then like phasing out. There's a pretty sharp delineation here between the edges of the gills and the stipe, and that.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, it has a white spore print. I forgot to tell you that.
They all have white spore prints, but this looks more like hygrophorus than Cuphophilus to me. So I think you're on the right track. And the slime, the extreme slime, is a hygrophorus trait, especially these late season ones. I'll look around, I'll see, and I'll look for it on Mushroom Observer.
Oh, great. So if I go to the Champignon du Quebec website, you just look through the pictures to try to see what you.
That's
to
what
find
I
something.
often do.
How it works.
If something looks similar, then I'll click. I'll look at the descriptions, but of course they're in French, so I have to copy, paste into Google Translate, French
I
to
see.
English, and then sometimes it's still hard to understand what's being said. But it's probably that's probably the most comprehensive collection of Eastern North American fungal species available that except for Index Fungorum, but there's no information on Index Fungorum except for authorship and synonyms. So you get a lot of pictures. Champignon du Quebec has a lot of pictures, and they have fairly detailed descriptions. I think
What
you're
did you
right. I
mean
think
by
it's
a
a
slime ring? What
See
did you
here in
mean
this-
by a slime ring?
Okay, so rings are formed by partial veils. Some of the late season hygrophorous mushrooms have either partial veils or one might even call it a universal veil, really, because the whole mushroom is covered in slime. And once the cap expands, then a ring is formed on the stalk, or a ring zone that's basically just a little area of thickened slime. And it looks like that's
see.
what you've got here.
Yeah, because it goes away, in a couple days when the mushroom's dried out, which it takes longer than a regular mushroom to dry out. It's not there anymore.
It's almost certainly some sort of hygrophorous. So you're on the right track there.
Okay.
What kind of trees?
Oops. Red pine.
Red pine. I'm
And,
sorry, you said that, red pine.
And some like small beech. Is the beech
it's the red
here have
pine.
some?
It's the red pine that's the host here, probably.
Okay. All right. And then my last one, let me get my screen share again. Also, I need help with. How do I go back? So this one, I've never seen this mushroom before. It was a polypore, and I thought at first when I thought it was going to have gills. I thought it was going to be a oyster mushroom, Pleurotus, but it didn't. It had pores. So that's the pore surface. It has tiny. I don't know how to get the bigger. Has
on the ground,
tiny
it looks
pores.
like.
It's on the ground. It was on the ground at the base of a white pine.
Hey, Patty,
And yeah.
if you want to make it bigger, you have to click on Show Original Image down at the bottom.
Oh, it's like my.
See?
Oh,
Right underneath.
yeah. My thing is in the way. Let me find it.
I have to leave for a second, but I have an idea for you. Albatrellus ovinus.
Oh. Okay. I thought it was. Well, it was. Isn't that like a stiff mushroom? This was kind of like it was
Flexible.
It was very flexible.
Yeah, it starts out like
And-
that, then it gets hard later on.
Okay.
Yeah, it sort of ages. It becomes more dense, but it's a little bit flexible at first. I mean, that's what
Okay.
it looks like to me, and that grows on the ground under pine, and it's white. It's got pores, and it's got a
And you see
stipe.
the one.
These have stipes, right?
No, they don't really have a stipe.
Oh, okay.
They have like overlapping leaves, and See in this picture here, there's not, this is the bottom part. There's not much of a stipe.
Oh, I think I see
And
something there on the upper left.
this here,
No,
a little
right
bit of a
below
stipe.
that, right? That looks like a stipe. I mean, it's not very long.
I guess it's a short, there is a short stipe.
Okay.
So
Okay, I'll be,
what I I looked in some books and I thought that Climacocystis borealis might fit, but then some of the other pictures, it didn't look like it at all. So
But
I really don't know.
excuse me?
What was that?
But Climacocystis borealis wouldn't grow on the ground near the base. It's like high up on a tree. It's like a branch,
Okay.
it's like a shelf. No, not like this.
Well, okay. I mean, I thought these were like shelves, but I'll look at ovinus, albatrellus ovinus. But so you said at first they might be kind of soft and rubbery, and then later on get stiffer.
That's correct.
And then right here, I cut it in half, and this is the gill. These are the pore surface. That white streak was the pore surface, and I don't know if that goes with that or not. Anyway, so you think it does not look like the Climatocystis borealis?
I would have to agree with Dave, and I think Luke. Albatrellus is probably what you have.
Okay. All right, those are my three.
Cool. Thanks, Penny. Okay, Lila.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
All right, what happened to my, there we go, share screen. Okay. Almost left the meeting by accident. Okay. Let's start with this one. I think this is some species within Clavaria delphis, but I don't know which. This was a couple of weeks ago, late October. And beech woods, fairly moist area. I came upon this all of a sudden. They were everywhere. Most of them were these kind of tall, skinny things that started out white at the base, turned brown, and then almost black at the top. Got these little club-like structures. But I did find this more deformed example.
Lila, have you had a frost?
This was before we had a frost, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we didn't get a frost till after Election Day, and this was late October. Of course, it was, 2 miles maybe from my home. Maybe it's possible there was a frost there, but I don't think so. It's been pretty mild still.
those ones that are black on top, I think they're just old and dried out
Right.
and in a state of decay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the deformed one is probably more indicative of what this should look like when it's fresher. But I believe you've got the genus correct, Clavaria delphis.
Okay. All right. Well, there were
Two
just
different species. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So are a lot of species in that genus, or?
A few.
Yeah.
And you could probably get a name on this one because it looks like the apex is fairly well rounded, not irregular. And I think there's one or two that tend to be like that, as opposed to maybe truncate and maybe a little bit irregular on top.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, you know what, let me see. You know what, I have Baroni's book right here. Maybe he's got something in here. I'm gonna look in it in the,
All right, well, I'll look at it again with the paler, fresher body as my reference point. But it was funny. I was walking along and of course, you know, didn't even see these until I stopped to look at something else, and then I was just surrounded by them.
and the paler one in the middle is probably not shaped in a typical fashion. The other ones are probably more typically shaped, but they were
Right.
sticking up above the leaf litter and probably dried out, and maybe got frosted, you know, Susan suggested.
Yeah.
And the other one was like hiding underneath the leaf litter, and so that one maintained sort of typical sort of morphology a little longer, I'd say.
Right.
Let me look in the book.
Yeah, it was buried as I was moving some of the leaves around. That's how I managed to find that one underneath. But okay, all right. Well, I'll look, do some more work, see if I can narrow that down. Okay. What else?
Baroni has Clavariadelphis americanus, and that one is fairly well club shaped, with
Okay.
the apex rounded and not irregular or truncated. So I think that's yeah, that look up that one, Clavariadelphis americanus. To me, it looks like that one.
Okay. All right. That helps. I've got his book. I'll look at that. What else? Maricel, I think you showed this a few weeks back, or maybe it was Luke, something like it.
It could be too, no, it's Flevia tremelosa, very dry, the cold, yep, the cold weather, Flevia tremelosa.
Flevia tremulosa. Again, this was back when it was still pretty good. All right.
Yeah, they have the white cap, like fuzzy white cap. Yeah, it is. Mhm.
The underside of it, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
There we go, there's the cap, yeah.
That's what it is.
All right, so I have the wrong ID on this one. I'll have to fix that.
Oh, that's like an old name.
Oh, that's the old name.
same thing.
Same,
Ah,
Yeah.
okay,
but they call it Flevia tremelosa.
all
It's
right.
been kicked back and forth. Wise.
Yeah.
They're both sort of correct.
Okay. All right, good, good. All right. And I think this is one, Maricel, that you had all shown before. This was
Yeah.
was actually very stunning. The photos didn't do this justice,
Mhm.
but very pretty. Army of these little corals on this well-decayed log being covered by the algae here, moss or something.
Usually it's related. It's the two of them working together.
Okay. Yeah, it's just it was kind of stunning. Wish I had better photos. So what did I call this? I think, let's see.
You have it right.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. That's that one. And only saw it on one log, just one spot. That was it. And I feel like I should know what this is, but it's pretty old, so I didn't really try to put a name to it, but maybe somebody can recognize it.
Septum.
The chaptum before me.
Yeah.
Is it really?
It's really, really like lost
Really?
color. Yep.
Yeah,
You can still see a little teeny tiny bit of purple on the edge,
okay.
the edge of the pores.
See a tick.
Ew! Oh my gosh!
Oh.
Surprise!
All right.
Yikes!
Yeah, I hate those things. All right, so biforme, okay. Yeah, it was old, clearly. And what else? We can look at the Salmonida. These were kind of in town along a paved walkway. Obviously, a lot of white pine and oaks. And there must have been 30 or 40 of these. And I don't know if it was some person, some animal, what, they all were out of the ground and lying, just scattered about. Not a single one left in the ground. So I gathered up a couple and took a few pictures.
Yeah, the base of the, oh wait, now it looks a little different though. I was gonna say something. The one on the left, I thought had what's sometimes called the rolled sock basal volva, but I don't think so, actually. It looks like it's got rings of volval deposits going up the stipe. So probably Muscaria, which is now Trisoblema in Eastern North America. That's the one that usually comes out late.
Yeah,
Well, it used to, once upon a time, it was Muscaria variety Frostiana, I think, or something. Frostii, I forget. Then it was Gessoii, and now it's due to a mistake, I believe, that had been made numbers of years ago, thinking that a very pale capped muscaroid mushroom was a different species, and this name was created to accommodate it. And now I believe it's understood that the pale ones and the ones that are yellow are really the same. So the old name that was meant to apply only to the pale ones, Trisoblema, I think that's the name, is now, according to the rules of taxonomy, is now the name of the Eastern North American muscaroid mushroom. So it's probably what they are, but they're kind of old and beat up, so it's hard to be really confident.
yeah. Just it was interesting. I don't know if somebody else was studying them and pulled them all out to look at them or what, but it was interesting that there was probably 20 of them in this one little area. Okay. That's probably about it for, I don't have anything. Well, all right, this one. Is this Hispidus or is this resinosum?
That's a good question. Is it an oak tree?
Beech tree.
Looks like beech. Yeah, that's probably resinosum.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look hairy enough on the top for Inonotus hispidus.
Okay.
Yeah, the dark margin also.
And also looks rubbery.
Yeah.
All right, so it's an old resinosum. Okay. All right, I'm still looking, trying to find this hispidus. Oops. No.
Lila, come down where I am. Turkey Swamp had like 5 trees worth of it.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, good. Thanks for sorting that out, everyone.
And then
Appreciate the help.
This is a great dyer.
Cool. Thank you, Lila.
Oh,
Thanks.
resinosum is a good dryer, Susan? A
Hispidus.
good dyer?
Hispidus.
Oh, I'm sorry, hispidus.
Yes.
Okay.
Is almost better than Phaeola schweinitzii.
Okay. So it looks like Marisol is next.
Okay, I'm here.
All right.
All right. I found this one is a little old, but I was a little curious about what it was because I thought it had scales on the top, but it's not scales. It's something else. But I noticed also that on the cap, it was like splitting, so it has some kind of fibers, and that was kind of interesting. And when I turned it over, it was a Pluteus. And I took it home and I worked on its micro and I learned something new. So when I did the micro, I found two types of cystidia. And then I wasn't sure which cystidian was on what side. And then after I read about it, I found out that the cystidia that has these points, can you pass the, no, this one is pleurocystidia. So this one is, oh, I think that I am wrong. Oh, I'm so wrong. Pleurocystidia is from the size of the gills, Dave.
Yeah, pleurocystidia are on the faces of the gills. On the edge are the chyloscystidia.
Chyloscystidia. I think that I put the wrong names because I thought I had to check my information again because there were not too many of these, but it is wrong. This will be the chyloscystidia. The pleurocystidia will be on the sides.
No, they're on
I
the
put the
edges.
wrong name. I put the wrong name. This should be chyloscystidia. Oh man, I messed it up.
Yeah, I think that's probably a chyloscystidia.
See, I messed up the names.
Yeah, so the other ones, do the other ones have like 2 or 3 horns?
Yes, you'll see.
Yeah.
And I was surprised because I thought that pleurotus only have that kind of cystidia with the points. Can you pass the photos, please?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's sometimes they call that mucrinoid. But I think for Pluteus, they probably wouldn't use that terminology. They would just say with a single projection.
Oh, okay.
But that's interesting. The single projection suggests something different than Cervinus, because I think Cervinus, I think all of them have horns.
Oh, cool. Because in general, all the ones that I saw didn't have that tip. Only that one has that tip. But it makes
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, tough to say then.
Yeah. This is immature basidia, but I just wanted to show you the disposition on the right, left, upper right. Yeah, the way they're connected, like two coming from one main. Yeah. And then can you pass? So now we have. No, it's all wrong. This is pleurocystidia. I messed up. Okay.
Yeah, those are pleurocystidia.
Yes, I messed up. I had to fix the names. So yeah, this was so gorgeous. It was so beautiful. And yeah, can you pass? And some of them were gigantic. This one has like 4 to 6 tips. It's hard to, you have to like play with the focus on the microscope to be able to count the tips. But
that's a lot of tips, actually.
You cannot focus all of them. Yeah. So yeah. And this is a 100x view of those pleurocystidia on the sides of the gills. More of that. This one has tips on the top, like 3 or 4 weird tips. It was a weirdo one. Yeah. And these ones were simple. These ones didn't have the tips, and it has these weird formations. As you can see there, there is a spore in the middle, and there is one little tip next to the spore too. So I don't know why these things are like that, but it was fascinating to find those. Another one, simple, longer than the ones with the tips. What's the name for the ones with the tips? Or just they just call it for the position, Caelocystidia, Pleurocystidia. Sorry for the confusion. Okay. So I'll have to talk to Alfredo Justo to see what he thinks because of the tips on that other cystidia. Okay.
Did you ever look at the Michael Close website? He has a lot of
Oh yes, I have, but not this time. No, I didn't have a chance.
okay. That's a pretty good resource for Pluteus. He has
Thanks.
a lot of stuff in there, kid.
Okay. In the same place where I found this Pluteus, I found this little tiny mushroom. And when I saw it, I didn't know what to make out of it. And when I look with the lens, it looks like covered with sugar. The cap is covered with sugar. The stab is covered with sugar. It was so beautiful and so tiny, like 1 centimeter high. And it was growing on deciduous wood covered with moss, as you can see there. And when I did the micro, I saw the cystidia that characterizes mycena. It's called broom-like cells. I don't know the right name. So the sugar that I saw on the stack is this special cystidia. What's the name of the cystidia on the stack, Dave?
I
Pileo
think those are Pileocystidia, right? Yeah.
Okay, so this will be Pileocystidia. It's some kind of finger, deformed finger with little tiny fingers, if I can say that.
Yeah, mycena have really weird cystidia with all sorts of projections.
Yup.
And sometimes they call them broom cells.
Yeah.
When the projections are all on the very end, like on the apex and pointing in the, more or less the same direction. These are kind of weird though. Their projections are all over the place.
Yeah. And it's hard to focus them because it's like the projections are coming all from all the places.
You have to move the focus. I mean, you did a really good job here getting a picture that at least shows pretty much what you're talking about all at once, because it's hard to get it all at once.
Yeah.
You have to move, you have to roll the focus and watch it a little bit at a time.
Yeah. So you can see a little piece of this type here. Yeah. So this one is the cap. So the sugar is also the same kind of structures, but it was more abundant on the cap. And then there were 2 spores next to when I did the preparation. So then I took advantage of that, and they are kind of globose, almost very close. And
that's interesting for mycena, subglobose. Did that match with corticola for you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised because what you've got there is mycena corticola. It grows on a maple tree outside my back door, like 4 steps outside my back door. Not every year, only when there's a lot of rain. I've got a few mushroom observations of the same species. It's really small.
Yeah.
Grows in mossy bark on live standing maples.
No, this one was not standing. This one was dead.
Oh, this one was dead. Oh, okay.
Was dead, covered with a polypore that was everywhere, but I saw these little things in there when I was working on the polymers. Yeah.
All right. So I guess it can grow on dead, dead trees. Probably recently dead.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but that certainly looks like mycena corticola to me.
But I didn't know what it was at all. When I posted in iNaturalist, it immediately told me mycena corticola. Then I checked the micro, and yes, it was that. Awesome. What a beautiful little thing.
Yeah, I haven't ever even done micro on these because they're actually, there's nothing else like them really.
Oh, I see.
So I find them and I just say, oh, there's that. And the first time I found it, I think I didn't even have a microscope. So I'm
Mm.
just used to seeing it and knowing what it is. But that's very interesting. You did some micro on that. And next time I see this, I'm going to try to get some spores. Because that's an interesting shape for Mycena spores. They're usually more
Like a
elliptical.
lacrima, yeah, like a tear kind of, yeah. All right, cool. That's a little beautiful thing. Okay, this one is from Wells Mills. I only had a chance to do it like 2 days ago. So it was very interesting. The photo is not the best. Maybe the last photo is better than the first one. Look, we'll get there. Okay, the last photo is a little better because it shows other specimens below on the lower, yeah, lower part of the photo. Yeah. And the funny thing is that it was growing with a crust, and I thought it was like parasitizing the crust, but it doesn't look like that. It's like sharing the wood pine, white pine. And I did the micro, and I was very surprised when I found the spores because they have 3 to 7 septa. So I put this photo, it says Dacrymyces variosporus, and it is the one that matches, and this happens in the US. So my spores match. Yeah.
Did
If
you
you can
get the
count-
tuning fork basidia?
Yes, of course, yes. Oh, you can see them very blurry to the right. There are so many on the right, but empty already. Oh, I put numbers. Oh, yeah. I put numbers.
Oh,
for
there's
different
one,
things.
number 4. Yes,
Number
I see
4,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
very
so number 1 is the hifa that has a fuzzy aspect, which is on the microphoto that I posted from the book. It corresponds. Then number 2 is the spores. There is one that already has 7 or 8 segments, things in there. Is getting there, is forming, dividing. Number 3 is young basidia that didn't start showing the 2 horns yet, and the 4 is all empty basidia that already produced the spores and is empty, like the inflated balloon. Okay. And can you pass?
Yeah, they call those those empty basidia, they call them tuning fork basidia
Yeah.
because they look like tuning forks.
Yeah. And here we have one of the spores with that correspond to the photo from the book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has 8 segments. So I put the measurement just for that one. And then I found other ones with 3. These ones are still information, didn't divide yet.
What
And
are
the
you
spores-
using as a stain? That really looks very
Congo.
nice.
Congo.
Yeah, okay, that's what I use too. It's just
Yeah.
your scope's just better than mine.
And then it has this fuzzy hifa that is an anastomosin. Right there is weird looking thing. Then I put that in there, and it's like forming the flesh. And here I have basidia at different stages of development. One is still like a club, one is starting to show the 2 stigmata, and the other ones are empty, the tuning fork basidia. Oh, and another thing, the measurement of the basidia is so long, 75 unit metrics long. And another spore with 3 segments, or more basidia, young and forming the fork tips.
Nice
Yeah,
documentation,
cool.
nice
It's
collection.
actually a good photo.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What's the crust? Is that one next?
Leucogyrophana olivascens. I know it. I found it so many times now. It took me like more than a year to know what it was. Now I know it. Okay, this one was given to me, maybe Luke or Sue. I don't remember. Luke, did you give that to me? Luke. Oh, what happened there?
I'm here. I couldn't get to unmute. Um,
Look, yeah.
Yeah, we found this at Wells Mill. Somebody found it at Wells
Yes,
Mill.
Wells Mills. So I took it. I took these photos there. Not too great, but still, it looks like a stereon, but it's very thin and more flexible than a stereon. A stereon is kind of rigid a little bit. This one, it wasn't like that, more flexible. And it has these sonations and it's the color underneath. And I did the micro and it has, yeah. Oh, this one, it was incredible. This one was growing in that super tiny stick. I could not believe it. Remember looking a little tiny stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. That stick was like not even like a finger. So here, this is 100 magnification of Gloeocystidia, and it looks really strange because it's reflecting. It says that in the book. And at the lower part, it's exerted, but it just very shy, mostly on the flesh. Here is a better 400x of the same thing. You can see how it is exerted few unit metrics, and it has contents that are reflecting. Basidium, okay. It's not too clear, but in between the Gloeocystidia, there is a basidium with 4 sterigmata. It's close to the white words, to the lower center. Yes. Oh, to the left of basidium. Yeah, 4. Not too easy to see it, but there were 4 spores. Yeah. And 1 spore still attached to a sterigmata to the left. I didn't find too many spores, but I found it again on Sunday, and I am working on the spore print because I think it's the same Lacitextum bicolor. I think they call it bicolor because the cap is brownish and the hymenium, the fertile part, is whitish. I found another kind of cystidia, but I don't know what to make out of it. But other things correspond to Lacitextum bicolor.
Was this in a, did you find this in a particular book somewhere, Marisol?
I have it in the Swiss book.
Swiss book, okay.
Yeah. I found this one in Wells Mills too. It was one little mushroom next to the ones that we just saw before. And it was on the ground, and it looked interesting to me, but I didn't know what to make out of it. And the base, it was hairy. You can see it's a little blurry, but it was hairy towards the base. And it was, when I wet it at home, it became very sticky. So to me, it looked like a waxy cap. Then I do the micro, and oh boy, the cystidia's the craziest thing you'll see. So that's the cap, really tiny, like maybe like not even, let's see, like 1.5 centimeters to 2. And I look around and there was nothing else, just one. So the cystidia, the Caelocystidia, has this nipple-like projection. And some cystidia looks like truncated too. It has all sort of odd shapes. And sometimes the nipple is like to one side, it's twisted, it's curved, very crazy. And it also has this other type of cystidia. It was huge. I didn't know. I wasn't sure what kind of cystidia it was, because this thing, I didn't pay attention. I didn't expect to find too much from it. So it has 2 kinds of cystidia. It has appendages of the lower part, that one, and it has a narrow base. I mean, I was lucky to see this one dislodged from the rest of the flesh. More of that. So I didn't know where to look for information, but for me, it's like belongs to the waxy cap. So I call it hygrophorus. The crazy cystidia with the projections. Yep.
Very small fruit body for Hygrophorus.
It is?
Yeah, maybe hygrophorus. It was really slimy, you said, or sticky?
Yeah, it was sticky, yeah. But hygrophorus belongs to the waxy caps?
Yeah, Hygrophorus, Hygrocybe, Cuphophilus, and Gliophorus.
Also, it's too small. You say it might be hygrosibe, you said?
Yeah, but I don't recognize it.
Okay.
I don't usually do a lot of micro on those. I never find much of anything, but you know, maybe your scope is just better than mine. I mean, some of those cystidia were pretty interesting looking,
Yep.
like what I would expect from something that, you know, typically has really prominent hymenial cystidia.
Mhm.
This one's kind of interesting.
Yeah. But it's okay. I left it like wax caps because I know they're pain in the neck. So that was, but it was interesting to see that weird cystidia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks.
All right, cool. Thank you, Marisol. All right. Is Chantal Hernandez here tonight? Okay, she's here. She can let me know. Okay, Dave.
Okay, I'm still finding mushrooms. I went out this morning. I needed to give my brother a ride. He needed a medical procedure early in the morning. He needed to be at a hospital. So I went out to a spot where I know there are some 3-needle pines that I don't even know what they are, but these I found on Sunday. But I'm saying I still found mushrooms this morning. Some of them were frozen solid. And I took a few home and they still dropped some spores. But this was from Monday, or I'm sorry, Sunday. So one of our club members met me out at Nescapec State Park. We looked for mushrooms mainly under white pine, a lot of white pine, a lot of needle duff. So this I'm calling Mycena griseoviridis. I'm pretty sure it's what it is. There were a couple of things in the typical descriptions that didn't fit to a T, and the spores were maybe a little bit shaped differently than what you see in the literature. But you know what? A lot of times you'll see spore dimensions in the literature, and you look at 5 different sources, right? And 5 different sources show the exact same thing in 5 different sources. And so I think
Yes.
sometimes they just get the original description and put those spore dimensions. So the spore dimensions might vary a little bit more than what you see in the literature. But these certainly look like griseoviridis to me. The yellow stems, the gray caps, a little bit of maybe olivaceous tint here and there on the cap. The description though emphasizes yellow on the cap a little bit more, yellow or green on the cap a little bit more. But I think that's what these are. They're a late season mushroom. See the like frosty color on the cap, like that's a bloom. It's like looks like maybe you've got, you know, a little bit of coated with a little bit of flour. Nice looking mushrooms though. And I didn't do a whole lot of micro on them. I don't get very far really with Mycena. Usually the cystidia are too small for me to see very well. But I can see the spores. The spores were geez, let me see. Did I actually use any? I don't think I even used any melters on these because I knew they were Mycena. But anyway, the nice looking, oh, there we go. I did do some, oh, I'm sorry, I did do some micro. That's right. this particular species has the Chylocystidia that have the projections. Usually what I found is just one projection. It's like a finger sticking out. And the next picture as well, I think, shows another one. So I'm pretty sure these are Mycena griseoviridis. So there's another one. It's got like this long, like finger sticking out the end. And so these are Hymeneal cystidia. They're Chylocystidia, I'm pretty sure. I think this species doesn't have any pleural cystidia. Now, what I'll do, I do smash mounts. I'm not real particular about making sure that I'm looking at an edge or a face. A lot of times you can tell just by the shape of the cystidia which type you see. But nice looking mushrooms though. Look at that nice little like fringed margin of the cap on the bigger one.
Dave,
Yes.
so this particular species grows only on the ground. From
Yeah, it's not a wood inhabitor, but you might find it on well decayed wood. The
okay.
mycelium might crawl up onto wood, but I think it's reported as either way, really.
Okay.
These were in needle litter near, not far from, these were just in needle litter, pretty much on the ground.
Dave, and
Yeah.
are they a little bit sticky or nothing like that?
Yeah, they're sticky. They're kind of like,
Okay.
some of the older literature, I believe, lists these as a variety of a Pipterigera.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Yes.
Yeah. They look a little like that. They do. Yeah. So some of the older, I think originally they were proposed as a variety of that species.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
good point. Good
Because
question.
can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Because I found on Sunday I found mushrooms too, but I just didn't have enough space to show more. And I found Mycena epitheridia, and it happens that I went to read about it, and there are two varieties: epitheridia, and Mycena epitheridia lignicola. So lignicola is on wood, and epitheridia variety epitheridia is on the ground.
Yeah, and then there's also a Pipterigioides, according to the Quebec website.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my God, exactly.
I found only
And there's also a, did you say lignicola?
lignicola. Yes.
Yeah, lignicola, yeah. And so it's a little bit confusing, these late season sticky stemmed Mycena species, but this one really fits griseoviridis pretty well.
Yeah,
And,
but
and that used to be a variety of a Pipterigia.
may I say something?
Yeah.
The Mycena epitheridia is a little lighter on the cap. This one is a little too grayish.
Yeah, it's a little, and it's got this like bloom on the cap too. I don't think you see that on the Pipterigia. You know, I'm not sure I included it in my 5 things, but I also found a Pipterigia on Sunday as well. And it was in needle litter, but it was closer to a tree, and the caps were more yellow.
Yeah.
Than this.
Cool.
Oh, okay. This one. Yeah, I don't know if you get this very often in New Jersey, because it's a white pine species. It's a late occurring white pine species. And if you look at the next picture, you'll see the same one that you see here to the lower left. And you can see here where it looks, you can't really see the gills, and that's because there's a veil. And I don't know whether you would call this a partial veil or a universal veil, because the whole thing is covered in slime, and the veil covering the gills is also, it's a layer of slime. And this is unusual to see the veil this intact. But that slime goes all the way down the stalk, and it covers the cap. To me, it's more like a universal veil, honestly. And it forms, when it breaks, it sometimes forms a little bit of a slimy ring zone on the stalk, like we were talking about with Penny's white hygrophorus before. But believe it or not, these slimy critters are not a bad edible.
What?
They're,
Mhm.
they're not bad.
What are
Some
they?
people really like them. I used to run into this guy in the woods, oh God, like 35, 40 years ago. I would be looking for Armillaria, and this guy would be in the pine woods collecting only these. He would have a bucket full of only these. And I asked him what he did with them. He said he put them in spaghetti sauce. So I suppose the spaghetti sauce kind of masks the slime. But one of our club members, who's a rather creative person in the kitchen, she took some of these home and just coated them in breadcrumbs and fried them, maybe with a lot of oil, like almost like deep frying. And the idea is that the slime is like a binding agent.
Yeah, that makes.
Yeah, and she said it worked pretty well. So on Sunday, when I was finding these, there was another club member with me. It was just the two of us and her two little sons, 5 and 2.5. And we collected a bunch of these. She's also very creative in the kitchen. She took some home. So she coated them in flour and cornmeal and spices. She had a whole list of things she did. She said they were really good, and she fried them in a lot of oil. And I took some home too. And mine, I coated a little bit of egg and some breadcrumbs and deep fried them. They were pretty good like that. And I also dipped some in beer. I made some beer batter and dipped them in that and deep fried them. But quite frankly, by the time those were done, it was more like eating beer batter that was deep fried than was eating the mushroom. So I would have to say the breadcrumb idea worked really well and better than the beer batter. But some people around here call these gunskis, and this is incorrect application of an Americanized Polish word. And because a gunski should be a tricholoma mushroom, and these are hygrophorus. So there's a yellow one also, hygrophorus flavodiscus. And that reminds me, I meant to mention to Penny, those really pale ones, Penny, that you had, if they actually had a yellow disc, which it looked like they may have, you might want to check hygrophorus flavodiscus. That's a slimy hygrophorus mushroom similar to this one, but it's paler and it's yellow on the cap. Sometimes the yellow is only on the disc though. And otherwise they're pretty similar to these.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
Yeah, check flavodiscus. See, but those are usually more yellow than what your pictures indicated. But sometimes yellow doesn't come through very well in photos also. That's another thing. So, okay, so I guess that's enough of these. They're pretty cool mushroom. They're pretty common around here in the fall. You can go out and pick pounds of them sometimes if you're that interested in getting pounds of those. So this is a one it's a fall mushroom, but usually not that late, and it's usually bigger. I was a little bit surprised to find this. I put it on Mushroom Observer as a high confidence identification of Amanita porphyria, and I'm pretty darn sure it's what it is. Although this can be confused with the Amanita lavendula types. They're structurally very similar, but lavendula has a pale cap, almost white sometimes, citron yellow, or very pale with maybe a yellow disc, citron yellow disc. So this one's a little darker. And the thing that really gave it away to me was, though, Luke, if you can zoom in on the photo, because I only have the one photo here, and we'll see the upper part of the ring is distinctly striate. I guess you can't really, you can sort of see it. See, when I look at it on my computer, my own photo, I zoom in and I can really see the striations on the upper surface of the ring. Also, the edge of the ring is turning gray. That's a porphyria. trait. And the base, the stipe base it's got a really big bulb that is limbate, meaning there are these projections on the upper part of the bulb traveling up parallel to the stipe, but not adhered to it. So Amanita porphyria, I was surprised to find it this late in the season. Usually I find it in the first week of October or second week maybe. And funny, I didn't see that many of them this year, one or two up until now. So of course it's not edible. It's a section valide thing. You shouldn't eat it. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, so I've been finding a lot of these hypholoma mushrooms on conifer wood this fall. And some of them are pretty darn brick colored, like you would expect from Hypholoma lateridium. So I'm wondering, are these really capnoides, or is lateridium just a species that is likely to also colonize conifer wood? See, in the literature, you'll see, in the field guides, you'll see lateridium and is hardwood and capnoides is conifer. So, okay, so you get some spores, you look at the spore dimensions, and there's not a big enough difference between the two species. So, do I have capnoides here? Well, the large cap size of these two seen here also tends to suggest that these could be lateridium. Now, lateridium is usually a lot more brick red than these guys, but capnoides is usually a lot more yellow than these guys. So which one is it? Well, I posted it as capnoides. It's growing on conifer wood. So that it's supposed to be capnoides then. But I thought that was kind of interesting because I've been finding an awful lot of these this year on conifer wood. And sometimes they are really yellow, like they're supposed to be. So there's same tree, right? So those two big ones were on a different part of the root system. And these that you see here appear to be terrestrial, but it was really from just a thin layer of soil over the roots of this toppled white pine. So that's those. What else do we have? Forget what I sent. Oh yeah, okay. So one hypomyces that colonizes russula mushrooms is lactifluororum, and that's the lobster mushroom. It makes the russula or lactarius mushroom into this edible lobster mushroom. But this green stuff is luteovirescens, I think the name is. And so I don't know if it's edible like lobster mushroom. I wouldn't want, I'm not going to be the one to try to find out. But it's just kind of an interesting thing to find. It's this green hypomyces. It tends to cover the gills first. And so that's what we see here. And this probably is kind of old. It probably has been around for a little while. It's a little darker green than you usually see with this luteovirens. Okay, luteovirens.
I'm Dave. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I've heard people talking about eating this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't go out just eating it on my word. But I'm pretty sure like I saw a conversation with like Walt Sturgeon and a few other people, and they were saying that it was edible.
Oh, huh.
That might warrant a little more research.
Now the mushroom this was growing on, I'm pretty sure was Russula vinacea, which is not a very good edible, but I know the Hypomyces lactifluororum will convert a decidedly inedible type of mushroom into something that tastes really good. So maybe this does that too. I don't know. Oh, well, something to think about for the future. I guess that's it for mine.
That was it.
All
All
right,
right. Thanks, Dave.
sure.
All right. I have a few here. All right.
Oh, Luke, by the way, I just want to mention before I forget, I'm actually going to do a presentation for the Philadelphia Botanical Club this Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was all sort of springboarded off of those Neolecta mushrooms I found last year. And you mentioned that David Hewitt might be interested. And so one thing led to another. But one of the things I'm going to do is pass along to the Philadelphia Botanical Club a link to your Fundus blog, because I think those people will be interested in your thing about researching the McIlvain's fungi of Philadelphia from the 1880s.
Yeah.
So-
Cool. Well, thanks. Hey,
Sure.
I actually thought about applying for their scholarship because they have a pretty nice scholarship for
Oh.
that McIlvain thing to
Uh-huh.
get some of that stuff sequenced.
Oh, well, maybe that'll help.
Yeah. All right, cool. Good luck with the presentation. I'll have to look for it, actually. I'm a member, so it's. All right. So Flamulaster, I guess this is what this says. I wasn't really 100% sure about this.
Could be
Flamulaster.
Foliota granulosum.
Yes.
Those
and
are
that-
very similar.
So I was going back and forth between that one. This one was growing on oak, which is mostly debarked. This, you can still see a little bit of bark on here, but it was kind of growing out of this area where there wasn't much bark. But the gills on them had this really kind of, the edges of them. This one's a little old. I don't think that marginate color is true. I think that was just because it was a little bit old, but had kind of like that granular look on the edge of it, edges of the gills, which I thought was more of a flamulaster characteristic.
Yeah, also the margin of the cap has the triangular appendicular deposits. And that's a flamulaster thing as well. And the scales on the cap are really pretty pronounced and extended. That's a flamulaster thing also. Flamulaster arenacilus, right? That's what you have here, right?
All right, cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what you got there. The spores are pretty similar for these two, because I remember that because I've been confused by them in the past.
Yeah, it was a pretty, I mean, it was, I mean, I was going back and forth between the two. I was using Michael Quo's website for this.
Look,
So like, yo,
I have found the granulosa a few times, and it's not as scaly as flammulaster. It's granulose.
Yeah.
The species name says, yeah.
Yeah,
I see what
It's
you're saying.
that's what I'm saying also.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these scales are really high and pointed.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got it.
All right, cool. And the next one. Oh, okay. So these just, I thought they looked really nice. These Galerina marginata. So there was a lot of them. So let me look at these pictures. They look really nice. So you can see,
Beautiful.
yeah, aren't they gorgeous?
They
So,
are.
so these are small. These are an inch across. For anybody that's not familiar with them, and they've got just a little bit of suggestion of
Yep,
the ring that's still hanging on to them.
yep. And the aspect of the cap, that tone, yeah, and the smoothness, yeah.
The one on the right here that's upturned, you can see the ring is starting to get to be a little bit rusty brown from the spores.
Yeah. Yep. Right there on that edge, like at 2 o'clock. All right, so these are decidedly toxic. Last
Killer.
year, last year, my cat ate one of these, stole it right off my table and ate it. And it cost me like $1,200 to have him, his stomach all pumped out and all these like liver booster meds and everything.
You ate it?
No, not me, my cat.
Oh my gosh.
My
Okay.
cat jumped up on the table and stole it and ran underneath the chair and
Oh.
was eating it. And I was like literally dragging, because I knew what they were. I was literally dragging him out by his tail as he's like chomping on it, trying to swallow it. And I was like sweeping his mouth. And I couldn't tell if he ate any of it. I don't think he did eat any of it, because as small as he, you know, a cat is, even a little piece of it would have been pretty bad for him, but
Oh.
he was fine. It was just really expensive.
Glad your cat was fine, but that's very much like natural selection going on right
Does
there.
your cat suffer from any form of depression?
He's a very stupid cat. I love him, but he's a very stupid. Yeah, right. He wasn't depressed. Oh, yeah. So
I remember that story from last year.
now my wife's like super paranoid. Anytime I have any kind of mushroom laying around, she's like, "What is this?" Okay. Xylobulus subpileatus. So this is another one of these steroid things. So it grows on, I think, exclusively on oak, as far as I know.
I think so, yeah.
These are
Is
pretty
that
big.
like a cap-like projection, like a sessile kind of thing?
Yep.
Interesting.
See, yeah, see how
And
they're,
huge.
yeah, they stick out. They're probably, they stick out maybe as far as like a big turkey tail does, you know, like maybe 2 inches, but they fuse together in these long strips.
That's the same genus as that frustratulus thing, right?
Yep, sure is, that parchment looking stuff.
Frustulata.
Or
Yeah. It looks like
Yeah.
what
like
is it?
ceramic.
Parchment.
Ceramic. Yeah.
Ceramic, yep. Well, these things project outward. So when you look at them, they look, you would think they're a polypore. That's what they look like. They look like a bunch of polypores sticking out, you know, growing out of the wood. And but when you look at the underside of them, you can see they're very they're steroid, completely smooth. So relatively common down here. I see them a couple, you know, see them fairly often. Not a lot, but fairly often. But
You said on oak?
yep, always on big, gigantic oaks that have fallen down.
Huh.
They're well rotted. Like, see, all the bark is already gone from these things. I think that's almost exclusively what I see them on, are big old oaks. And usually when you see them, there's a lot of it. Like, this is just a little close up, but there was, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of these caps all over. So big expanses, you know, several feet across. So Xylobulus subpileatus.
Subpileatus, that makes sense.
Right, because remind me, what does pileatus mean?
Hasapilius.
Oh yeah, like has a like a cap.
Yeah, has a cap.
Has a
yeah.
cap. So it almost has a cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, this is pretty common around here. I see this a lot. Metalloidea fragrans. But this was a nice example of this polypore. So
Is that the cinnamon one?
Yep, the cinnamon one. So this one seems to really like this cool, wet weather. So I seem to find this a lot in the spring and in the fall. But maybe 2 or 3 inches across here. They're not huge. They have these orange, it's a little blurry, but it's pretty small orange pores. These
It's
pores
becoming,
actually,
oops, sorry.
no, go ahead.
It's becoming like more and more common.
It seems that way, right?
Yeah, we're
Because
finding it more and more in our forays.
Yeah, because you know, the first time I ever found it was, you know, 5, 6 years ago, and nobody knew what it was. I mean, there wasn't even a record of it in Pennsylvania or New Jersey then. I had to get some guys from Europe to help me identify it. And now, I mean, now it's like, I see it all the time around here.
We found it in Crystal Lake, and now I find it in Amico Island in the other side of the Delaware.
Mhm.
Yeah, and yeah,
So you would think that if this was always as prolific as it seems to be now, that it would be in some of the guidebooks that were written in this area,
yeah,
right?
mhm.
Like Gary Linkoff's book, he was from New York. The Phillips book, he was in the New Jersey area and he was writing that book. You would think this would be in some of those books, but it's not in any of those older books.
Only
In fact,
recent.
the only North American book I've actually ever seen it in is that brand new Bassett's Polypore book.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you only see it in European books.
Luke,
Yes.
the Bassetts live in North Carolina and previously Georgia. Have you looked in any books that are particular to the South? Perhaps it's a thing that's moving north with global warming.
Maybe.
This either.
That's a good idea because I have newer books from down south, but I have never looked in like older books that were written previous to the 90s, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure there's one of the Gulf
What
Coast.
does it smell like?
Smells like cinnamon,
Oh,
like intensely like cinnamon.
wow.
we have a lot of oaks around here, but I've never seen this mushroom.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for it because we're not that far apart.
Now, we're a little higher elevation up here, and the climate's a little bit different. So, this could be a climate change thing, like Susan
Yeah.
said.
And when I did first find it, however long ago, 5-6 years ago, when I finally did identify it, when I did look like in GenBank, that's one of the places I was looking. The only other collections were from down south. They were from Florida and Virginia, I think. And they were made by like one of those European polypore guys that was over here collecting, Joseph Flassett. So anyway, it is pretty common and it is fun to find because when you see it from the top, it kind of reminds you of some generic polypore that you often will pass over, but as soon as you smell it, it's unforgettable.
What are the dimensions of the cap?
They're usually not more than like 2 or 3 inches wide.
Okay.
They're pretty kind of petite. A small little thing. Okay, and the last thing I have today is this Cuphophyllus lacmus.
Wow.
So I've only ever seen this once before, but both times I've ever found it has been very similar conditions, like this cold, wet weather. And both times we're on like lakefront areas, like in the woods right against the lake. That's about how big it is. No bigger than my thumb, so medium-sized mushroom.
What habitat?
Like a deciduous oak and beech forest, just growing
But
in the
on the
leaf.
ground?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sorry, growing on the
Oh,
ground,
okay.
growing on the ground, like in the leaf litter, half buried.
All right.
And like I said, both times this year and last year in 2 different areas, but same habitat, but against the lake within
Look.
like, yes.
But did you see it or you were down and moving the leaves?
No, I saw it.
Oh, okay.
It was poking out of the leaves.
Oh, okay.
There is a similar species that you might want to check out.
Yeah.
At Cuphophyllus, I forget, Purpureus, violaceus, something with color in it. But I know because I have found what I believe to be Cuphophyllus lacmeus up here in the summer. And I posted on a Mushroom Observer and someone suggested this other name and I looked and it was like, oh, well, okay, that's a little hard to tell. Yeah, which
Okay.
one it is. So I look on Mushroom Observer. Gee, I don't know how you'd search that because I have to know the name of it. You know what? I think the name is on the Quebec site.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
How do you determine that it's a Cuphophyllus?
Well,
I mean, it's a wax cap, right?
yes, a wax cap. Well, I could tell it was a wax cap just by when I first picked it up, just by the general feel of it. You know, it's got like
Right.
these waxy gills to them. They're kind of decurrent and the color. So the general feel of it was like a wax cap in the first place. As far as
Yep.
telling it's a Cuphophyllus, I'm not sure what determines.
Widely spaced decurrent gills.
There you go. So that's pretty Cuphophyllus then.
Yeah, but I think Cuphophyllus virginius is one that where the gills are not quite as widely spaced. The hygrophorus species are like pennies that she showed before. The gills tend to be a lot closer. And the mushrooms are the flesh is really a lot denser and the mushrooms are bigger. But it is an interesting question. How do you tell a Cuphophyllus from a hygrophorus? There might be some microscopic thing that contributes to that distinction.
All right. So those are my 5. Okay. So Svetlana, are you there?
Hello, I'm
Hi.
here.
All right. You want to tell us about what you have here?
This is something I found on Sunday under pine trees. Very beautiful color, like brick red. And I have no idea what it is. I submitted a couple pictures. Maybe someone recognizes the mushroom.
It's a Laccaria species.
That's what I asked in the email. Is that Laccaria?
Look at the purple.
Oh, maybe it's Laccaria bicolor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
From
have
there.
no clue. There are many. I know it has white spore print because I did that last year. And sometimes on the mature mushrooms, you can see one is growing on top of another and you can see that white spore print. And these are the gills.
Yeah, it's probably Laccaria bicolor.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay. There are of them. Last year, there were just a lot.
Wow.
I do not collect many of them. I don't know the mushroom. I just take pictures. But it was interesting what if it was Laccaria.
No, it is a Laccaria. And it's most likely bicolor.
Thank you. But I will write it down and investigate more.
And
I think-
bicolor because of the purple and the red.
Oh, is that the reason?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I always thought.
Huh.
but also white space gills.
Maybe it's purple because it was after frost. And
Yeah.
No,
No,
that's a trait, is the
Okay.
the bluish mycelium at the foot, on the foot. I saw something that looked like this on Sunday in the Pine Barrens. And I haven't had a chance to look at its spores, but the tomentum at the base was white. But when it gets old, it can turn white. And when you find it in that condition, you don't know what you've got.
it's very interesting. Are these edible mushrooms or
Huh?
that?
Uh-oh.
we don't
I don't know.
I don't know of any toxic Laccaria,
know.
but the stems probably should not be eaten. They're very fibrous and they're probably hard to digest.
I'm not anxious to eat them. I just want to know if they're considered edible.
And can I say something?
Mhm.
I know that they attract some insects and then they have a chemical that is toxic and the insects eat it and then the insects die. It might be other kind of animal. I'm not sure that it's an insect. And then the mushroom absorbs the nutrients. It says somewhere, yeah.
That's
It's
interesting.
kind of like a cordyceps.
that where you
No,
moved
no,
to?
no, 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 no.
No, no,
Eh,
doesn't live on it.
it attracts the animals to ingest the mushroom, but they die because there's something toxic for them. And then the fungus, I wouldn't know how it will ingest the bugs nutrients, but I read that somewhere.
It's
That's
like
very
carrion.
interesting.
Wow, never heard of that.
Sounds very similar to a
Yeah.
cordyceps where its spores infects life forms and slowly kill them, but then take control of their bodies to get to prime locations, but then gestate with.
Oh, I know what you're saying, yeah.
No, but Lycaria, I believe, are mycorrhizal mushrooms that grow in association with a fungus that or grow from a fungus that associates with living trees. But cordyceps is truly a parasite. It's a parasitic fungus. So there's a basic difference there.
I guess it could possibly make the body that consumes it excrete some kind of nutrient or compound that's beneficial to the mushrooms left, or the fungus or mycelium
Mhm.
left, possibly.
Trying to find the info. If I find it, I'll tell you guys.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much. I will be reading more about, at least I know the direction now, Lacaria.
Okay, so this is your next
I
one.
sent separate, yes. Well, this, I wonder if it's toothed, and there's another picture which I took closer. Like the whole half tree is in that fungus. And I,
Oh, wait.
Looks like lion's mane combined with hedgehog.
Pachyderma, is
Spongipeles
Pachyderma a
pachyodon.
species name? Oh, go ahead,
Spongipeles
Kate.
pachyodon.
Yeah,
Yeah, species name, yeah.
what Marisol's saying.
okay.
Definitely.
I think I found something in the book, but
Get a different name in here.
Could you spell that out on the chat?
Yeah. Oh, me? Oh, okay, okay. I'll write it.
so could it be layered tooth? Or
It's
Nope.
Spongipeles. Ah, what did I say?
Spongipeles, yeah.
Oh gosh,
I've never seen this
Spongipeles
name though.
pachyodon. It has a new name. They just changed the name too.
Yeah, it's like Irpicodon.
Irpicodon.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yep.
Where did you find this? This is amazing.
On deciduous trees. I found it many times. Oh, you can't find the way for
Yeah,
the
it's pretty common.
chat.
What is this? Is this
It's a fungus.
Creophus serratus? What? I never heard of that though. That's interesting. I just wonder what that is. I'll have to
could
look it
that
up.
possibly be a Creolophus serratus?
That's what I'm saying. I never heard of that.
No.
Yeah,
Well, it's in the book.
I wrote the
it's
name.
what book is it in?
I have Thomas Lesor Karolinkov, mushrooms, 500 species of mushrooms from around the world.
Might be a Eurasian species.
Yeah, that's a
Could be.
that's a Hericium species that you're talking
Yeah.
about, but that's
Yes,
that's not what this is.
Oh, okay.
This is
That's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah.
Pachyodon means large tooth, like
yeah, there you go.
pachydermus.
So if you look at those teeth on there,
Mhm.
it does add up pretty well.
A really
So-
good photo.
Yeah, that is a good photo. So what are the distinct or some of the other distinct features of this to help you identify that is they do tend to grow in these clusters
Mm-hmm.
that project out from the trees, from the wood, and a couple of inches outward, and but they all tend to run together. So this is a really common example of it, or growth form of it, where they all these projections kind of run together, and they have, as I think it was Marius just said, the very large teeth on them, kind of poroid like teeth. I think they start out a little more poroid, and then they break up into these teeth.
And the spongy pellis, they are very like light.
Yeah, that's a
Very
good point.
so- by the way, very soft.
Yes,
I did not cut a piece off. I just touched it. And it's just one side of the tree and it goes all around the tree. It was just beautiful to look and take that picture.
if you catch these when they're projecting spores, they can be really prolific. They can just be like coated like in a dusting of spores.
Wow.
So
Well, thank you.
it's a neat mushroom.
If someone wants to see it, welcome to visit me. I can take it to the woods.
All right. Okay.
This on the left, I have no clue if that is a mushroom at all. It's just something which came out of the tree. And well, that thing inside of it, it's like lemon curd. It's very soft, it's very slimy, and it looks like something happened to it, like maybe the animal scratched it, but it was just, what is it?
It's a slime mold.
Just mold?
Slime
Slime.
mold. Enteridium lycoperdum.
Oh.
Enteridium lycoperdum, I'll write it.
Yeah.
Enteridium. And
So it's not a mushroom?
no, it's a
Yeah.
slime mold. Lycoperdum.
Oh.
I may be wrong for one or two letters, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure it's not just sap? Are you sure it's not just sap?
It's immature. It's just dripping. They do that many times, like by gravity. It's too heavy. I mean, like sap. Did you
Yeah,
touch it?
looks like sap.
But look at it has one surface is like a smooth, and then where it was touched is yellowish, kind of.
Inside, it's like something scratched it, and it's yellowish and kind of custardy.
It could be. What kind of tree was that?
I believe it's an oak tree.
Oh, okay. No sap. No, that kind of sap.
Could be sap.
No, because that wouldn't be a conifer. Yeah,
No, it's not a conifer.
conifer.
Okay.
But it could be. If it was conifer, maybe we'll doubt that. Yeah.
No, that was not a pine tree. It's an area with oaks.
Oh, okay.
What was the form of exam?
Did you have another picture?
No, it just, I did not even think it was a mushroom. It just was, first I thought it was Hericium, and then I came closer, it's like, wow, what are you? Just one picture. And this, I was taking picture of those orange bubbles, and then I noticed those tiny black ones. And this is also, what are you guys? It's just, I have another picture of the black ones. I don't know what orange bubbles are, but I'm more interested in those black, tiny black, like seed-like dots.
I know them. It's called Rosellinia subiculata. Subiculatum. Rosellinia subiculatum. You got more than that too. Yeah.
Well, see, and it has white dots, and then if you look on the left, they are like open already. They look like mushrooms, or maybe it's something
No,
different.
it's something else. You got something else to the left.
Oh, you think it's
Upper
something
left,
else?
there is something else. But the ones
Uh-huh.
on the, like on a yellowish bedding
Yes.
thing,
That's
Yeah.
tough.
Rosellinia with double L. Rosellinia. I'll write the name.
Is-
Rosellinia.
Is the yellow stuff, is that like a subiculum?
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's just
why.
the tree. It's just the tree.
Oh, that's the wood on the tree.
That's the wood on the tree.
But I saw other areas. Can you show other areas of the photo? I thought I saw something yellowish where they were growing from.
No, they just.
No, it belongs to them. It belongs to them.
Yeah, because look how,
It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look how the correlation between the black dots
Yes.
and the yellow
Mhm.
surface. Yeah,
Okay,
that-
it may
that's
be
pretty
this.
clearly connected.
It may be Rosellinia subiculatum.
Subiculatum. So
Yeah.
is that a mushroom or?
Yes, it's an ascomycete.
look over here, look at the other one.
The same. Yep.
They have the yellow patches as well.
Yeah, but at the previous picture, when you look at those orange ones, the bunch of black ones are on the brown background. I think it's like scratch here.
Immature,
Yeah.
immature, look. you
That
can
really
kinda see-
reminds me of
You can
the
still see the
previous
yellow
things
on-
we found in forays this diamond shaped structure with these spherical objects on it, like a black resin of diamond shape, but it had a amber colored beads on it.
No clue. And what is bubble?
So I'm sorry,
I-
Marisol, did you see what that one was? Oh, okay, you did.
No, the orange, I don't know.
No, the Rosalina. I wanted to look at that.
Roselia subiculatum. She can check those. Yeah.
Yeah,
Check
I'm gonna,
photos and information. Yeah.
I will check that.
When
Thank,
they are younger, the yellow is more prominent and it disappears when they are more mature.
I see, because we can see that yellow background is kind of like underneath.
Covered. Yes.
Tiny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
This
I'm looking at,
is so cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm looking at pictures online. That yellow patchiness is pretty distinct.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Thank you.
So what are the orange ones? Are they Lycogala?
Looks like some kind of immature slime mold, but I don't know what it is.
I have no clue. It just
It doesn't look pinkish, it doesn't look like thick, like the one we know.
Of
It
the
doesn't look
Lycogala? Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the color varies on those. Sometimes they're orange, but I don't know about this white fuzzy base sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
Mhm.
That looks a little different than what I'm used to.
Yep.
Well, I will go to the woods on Saturday and check if they are still there. I'll take the pictures of,
Check if they've changed
yeah,
or,
I want to see that.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think John and Nina had sent some stuff in. There, Nina?
Yeah, I couldn't find my mouse. Okay, yeah, isn't that pretty?
Beautiful and adorable at the same time.
It
It's be adorable.
was big and
Horrible.
they had and the stem was even brighter yellow and the top was even more orangey red. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that's so pretty. I just showed it. Yeah.
You better tell them what it is.
Oh, it's an Amanita chrysobalema, whatever that new name.
Yeah, it's the old Muscaria variety Gassoii.
Right.
And when they're this orangish, they can be confused with Persicana. But I think Persicana doesn't have this much ornamentation on the stipe.
No, it doesn't. No. Right. So anyway, the next one. I think this is a crenulata. Amanita crenulata. This was in the Pine Barrens again. Okay.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Very common in the fall.
Right.
Yeah, the champagne, what does Rod call it? The champagne poison amanita, champagne dust or something? A lot of times on the base of the stem, you'll see a little bit of the champagne colored. Yeah, you can see it there, like the dust. Yeah, and the cap is usually fairly faintly striate on the margin. It's got a very weak partial veil that sometimes leaves a ring that doesn't last very long.
You can see it
Yeah. Mhm.
right there.
Usually under pines, but under all kinds of, I find these under all kinds of trees. Usually under pines though.
Okay, these were collected Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with Ursula. Okay, next. Did we collect? This is the common one in the Pine Barrens right now. The Cordinaris mucosus is all sticky and gooey, and you can see the veil there, not
Yes.
the webbing. and a young one.
Yeah, we found these at Franklin Parker, and I thought, wow, those look really cool. Maybe I'll take some home to study, but they're just so slimy, and
Right,
I just don't want to deal with it, you know. So I left them in the woods.
right. Okay, next. Okay, this is Hygrophorus ponderatus. Is that what you said? Yeah. It's a fairly large mushroom, and where we get them from, it's interesting because a lot of them don't have any gills because the stupid mice and whatever eats all the gills, and all that's left is the mushroom all bare without any gills. So,
What is it, Nina?
what?
What is it? It's
I don't know. There must be mice or squirrels or something in it over there.
oh, okay.
She said stupid mice is what she said.
Well, I did find some with gills in order to look at the spores, so I could know whether it was the ponderatus or what is the other one, subsortus or one of those things. But that the spores were ponderatus.
The one on the left looks like it. You can see the gills, actually.
Yeah, yeah, there were some cute gills. Yeah, there were gills left on these.
Yeah, notice how the gills are pretty tightly spaced.
The tightly spaced and the decurrent.
Yeah, but that's one of the differences between Hygrophorus and Cuphophilus is you wouldn't have really tight gills like that on Cuphophilus.
Right, and these are big.
Mhm.
Yeah, these are big.
Yeah, and these are really big too. That's another thing.
That's what I was looking for the other day when I was poking around.
Nina?
For these things. Yeah,
And where did you find it? Like,
Speedwell.
Huh?
Speedwell under the pines.
oh, okay, okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Actually, the waxy caps, when I was a kid, people were always coming into my father, checking to see if the things were waxy caps, the Italians, because apparently Italians love waxy caps. So, you're next. Yeah, I threw in some more mushrooms right here. There's a series of these. This is all the same one, and these darn tricholomas. It's very hard to tell what they are. I think it's an intermediate, something like that. That seemed to be what it fit, but I dried it, and I'm going to send it off with Igor for DNA because they're hard. You can't tell from the microscope, but it's got a hollow in the stem, and it's light colored gills, and it has these fibers on it that have the little scales that turn into little scales at the end, and that seems to fit this intermedian. Intermedian, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Oh, and then there's this weird thing, David. We found. I gave it to Maricel in the restaurant, and it had turned to mush. And I asked Maricel if she could figure out what it was, and I guess she didn't.
Yeah, I work on the micro and I have micro photos, but I cannot know what it is.
It's
I
the most
can't.
peculiar thing.
Yeah,
I
it
think
has,
it's some kind of bacteria or something.
It was
That's
all over this
attacked the
tricholoma.
mushroom.
Yeah,
Well, it's a tricholoma,
yeah, it was
but
on
the
a
blue
tricholoma.
stuff.
Not a hypomyces.
I have no idea.
no clue if it was hypomyces because the spores were so crazy in shape and size, so I couldn't find it. I can show you. I can send you photos, Nina. I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Boy,
Anyway.
that was so stinky. Oh my gosh, it was so stinky.
Anyway, I just threw that one in. That's
Beautiful. Yep.
right.
Yeah, I've got a picture of this too, and I was going to put it on Mushroom Observer, and then I didn't because I thought it might not actually be a mushroom or a fungus at least. But I'll put it on and see if anybody has anything to say.
See if anybody bites. Yeah. Okay.
right.
Maybe
Yeah.
Thanks, Nina.
Okay.
that would make a beautiful dye.
Yeah.
All right. So it is, I didn't think we were going to have enough material tonight, but that brought us right up to 9 o'clock. So, does anybody else have anything they want to show off tonight?
I have one question and one mushroom that looks very pretty. That's just the two, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, here's the first one. This is the pretty one. It grew in a circle. It was in Manasquan Reservoir. Let me see if I can, oops, that's the wrong way. That's Manasquan Reservoir. And that's gorgeous looking with the ridges like that, the cross veining. I forget what the right term is. Can you see this?
It's like a lectarium.
Yep, Lacaria.
Okay. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. All right. And then this one, this is growing on the tree itself. I was wondering if I've been curious to see if I could find chaga, and I've been looking around and I don't know if this is it, but it's very curious to me. So I'm going to zoom in on it. So this is two different portions of it. It really looks like it's bursting out of the tree itself. And it has these almost like sappiness to it, but I don't think this tree is a sap type tree. Here's what it, a different portion of it, but you could see the leaves and I just don't know what it is.
Looks like some kind of a cherry tree.
Yeah, as I say,
It resembles chaga, but
could
it
be
doesn't have
cherry.
the smooth roundness shell appearance.
Oh, there's this thing that grows on fruit trees. Oh, I forget the name of it. This is really a lot bigger than it would usually be.
you think of that black knot,
Um,
that amorpha,
Black knot, yeah,
Morbosa.
black knot,
Morbosa.
yeah,
Morbosa,
yeah.
yeah.
No, no,
Morbosa,
it's not.
yeah.
It's too big. It's not like that.
Too
It will
big.
grow on the little branches.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too big.
It's too big. Yep.
Yeah, it looks a little like chaga, but it's not on the right, it's not on a birch.
No.
Oh, it's only
Is
on
that your
birch.
dog?
Birch. Yes, that was my dog.
The yeah, the cherry trees exude something that's really gelatinous, quite firm. So that might be what you were seeing, that juice. It firms up and becomes really almost like an amber.
Yes, it was very much like that. I did go to touch it carefully and it was very hard, the amber-like structure, sappy-like. So, and that's just the tree itself that can do that. It's not any type of fungus.
It is a fungus. I think, you know, the one we were just mentioning, the black knot, that will grow on the trunks of trees. We often see it because it girdles the little twigs, but trunk symptoms, large areas, I'm reading off of one of the extensions, right here, large areas of rough black swollen bark from the main tree trunk. Black knot galls on trunks are often cracked and may use sticky liquid. Wood decay fungi may enter the trunk through cracks caused by black knot galls and cause wood rot. So, because I know I've looked at this before, and that's why I thought that I'm always used to seeing it girdling the little twigs, but they say that it does attack the main trunks of the trees.
Oh.
So,
So it could be that.
Apiosporina morbosa.
Can you type that into the chat, please, or copy it?
That's at least something that's worth looking at.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. All right, awesome. Well, it is 9 o'clock now, so I guess it's time to sign off. So,
And I must say, seeing your dog trying to fit into such a small bed was the highlight of the evening.
I can show that again if that helps, if it makes it people like
Please.
that. Okay, I'll do that. Hold on. She is cute as well. Hold on. Let me find it. There she go.
Oh, look at that. She doesn't know she's no longer a baby.
She's actually never been able to quite fit in that, but it's so funny how she tucks her nose right into that thing, and it's like it's perfect, but just a little too small.
It's a
This
pillow.
is the reason for dog yoga.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
awesome. Well, thanks everyone for sharing. We
Thank
will
you
see everyone
Hosting.
next week. You're welcome.
Tell
Oh,
us
well.
if we're having a theme, okay? So we can prepare ourselves.
Okay, well, we're still finding stuff, right? So-
Yeah, me too. I found stuff on Sunday.
So we should start thinking about what we want to look over. So if anybody's interested, look at YouTube or on the YouTube channel from last year, and you'll see everything that we did last year, because we did the Carias, we did puffballs, we did polypores. I think we did 2 nights of polypores. Yeah, so we can maybe think of some other stuff we want to. Maybe we didn't do wax caps, right?
Can we do like the difference between tricholomas and like, there's the 2 H names, the hebeloma and the hydnellum. Yeah, just being able to tell the difference would be great.
Hebeloma and trichuloma, you just get a spore print. And you can tell from the spore print.
Mhm.
White versus brown, well, brown versus white. Hebeloma,
Also, I
light
would
brown.
definitely love to know sources for melters or any other identifying liquid stains, because it's so complicated finding that. It's so effective.
So anyway, go take a look at Taxonomy Tuesday, the YouTube stuff from last year, and we can see everything that we covered last year. And it's also in case anybody's interested in looking at that stuff. And then maybe we can come up with some ideas for this year. The other idea that I had too, at one point, I kind of floated it out there. It might be interesting at some point. We could go in as a group onto Mushroom Observer and iNaturalist and just work on identifying New Jersey mushrooms. You know, go in there and just look at unidentified stuff from the New
That
Jersey
sounds
area.
good.
And,
Oh, yeah.
just crank out IDs.
I'm all in.
Because I saw something in iNaturalist, and now there are groups of mycological associations appearing as one observer. You know what I'm
Ah,
saying?
Yeah.
And they are opinate. They are giving their opinions and ideas, like the Texas. I saw one. I say, what? Not
Huh.
a person, but the club itself. Yep.
Huh, that's interesting. Okay, cool.
You want to make a user that's NJMA, and for us to do that, like Maricel was saying.
Maybe. I'll have to think about that. I mean, that would require somebody to really fully commit to curating that. And, you know, I have to consider that. But I mean, if nothing else, I can just log on my, iNaturalist and put a filter on there for New Jersey, and we can sort of look through from there too. I'd be interested in looking a little more into what Marisol's talking about. That's an interesting thing. So, all right. Well, let's sign off and let's get out there and find some mushrooms for next week, right?
Buenas noches.
All right. Adios.
Okay.
All right,
Adios.
excellent.
And I.
And
Good night.